What up? What up? And
Yo,
what
hold
up?
on. Let me fix my camera, and then I
Yo, is your
will.
camera good? Yo, how about last night? That was crazy last night.
No, my camera isn't good right now. What's going on with my camera?
Made a little bit of money last night with my boy Brunson.
You know what? I'm gonna put this right here, and then we're gonna fix this.
Yeah, I
All
think we're
right,
live.
lights camera. Oh, we're live. Lights camera
Hey,
action.
hey,
Lights
what's up?
camera action, brother. How you doing?
Chilling, man. Home.
I feel
Just
like.
finished some dinner, so now we're good. Ready to talk
All
some
right.
fight.
You know what? I'm gonna leave it right here, but I know that I'm a little dark with this view, but my camera wasn't working. So we got a couple people watching. We're gonna go. We are live, so we're gonna go over um, Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. So
That was good.
Drew, you just told me off the air, Jordan Levitt. You saw something that you liked.
Yeah, well, Jordan Levitt. If we're gonna compare him to Luke Flores, what I do like is the fact that they're both gonna go to the ground. So this is gonna be a grappling match, which is always exciting for me. And if I'm looking at his picture right now, which is pretty funny, the picture of Jordan Levin, and they call him the Monkey King, and he's confidently looking into the camera as he's about to finish an armbar, which oddly enough, I feel like he's gonna finish it in a similar fashion. The dude's really good on the ground. I think I just finished watching a fight like 2 seconds ago where he was really in on a heel hook and was really transitioning well. So I'm excited for that for sure.
All right, so let me get everybody up to speed with what
Kazma.
to expect. You know what I mean? What to expect with these fights. So the first thing is, Drew, this is in Vegas, right? So what we need to keep in mind is this is the small cage,
Finish,
right?
finish, finish.
And again, as Drew just says, finish, finish, finish. That's what these guys are looking to do to get Dana White's attention, right? So Dana's going to be there sitting cage side, and these guys want a contract, so they're looking for the finish. So Drew, before I get any deeper into this fight, do either one of these guys get a finish and get a contract? I'm going to call you out for all 5 fights. I'm going to ask that same question
Hmm?
for all 5 fights. Does anybody here get a finish? Does anybody here get a contract?
Finish, yes. Contract, no.
Okay, who gets the finish here?
Jordan Levy gets the finish because he's the better grappler, and the only way he gets a contract is if he somehow like knocks him out. I mean, he was even quoted saying, I think in like an earlier interview, I'm not even sure when it was. I think I read it where he literally said, "Well, I think I'm gonna have to turn into a knockout artist to get Dana White's attention." So even he knows that
Yeah.
his grappling isn't gonna do it, or it's not gonna be enough. In this case, I mean, unless he comes out there and subs the guy in like under a minute, then I don't think he gets a contract. But he does get the finish. I think that.
Yo, but MMA, he's asking, is he better than Chimaev? Yo, nobody's better than Chimaev.
Yo, nobody's better than Chimaev
Am
right
I
now.
wrong or no?
Not right now. Not the way he's ragdolling people.
Definitely,
Some days
definitely not Edmund Shabazian. I'm just telling you that right now. He ain't better than Chimaev. All right, so let's start with this. Let me break down this fight for you. First of all, Jose Flores, right? For anybody who is looking for information on some of these fighters, by all means, Tapology, you can get your fight history. But Jordan Ellis on Low Kick MMA, he did a couple of interviews, and I saw an interview that he did with Jordan Levitt.
Mhm.
So if you want to, after this, by all means, if you want to get some interviews, there's even a couple interviews that James Lynch did with some of these guys. I found an interview with him. James Lynch did with who did he do that one with?
Yeah, James Lynch did one with I think he did one with
Kenny
Jerome.
Cross.
Yeah, there he is, Kenny
He
Cross.
did one with Kenny Cross like 3 years ago that I watched.
Yeah, him and
Um,
Kenny Cross look to seem like they are friends and stuff. So yeah,
yeah, James, is up from
yeah.
the Canada area, and Kenny, I believe, is from Michigan. So he may have fought over in a local card for James, so he may know him a little bit. But Jose Flores, his only loss is to Matt Favola at Contender Series in 2017. Okay, so he's
Hmm.
9-1. I'm picking Jose Flores here. Okay, that's
Blue.
my pick. We're head to head on this. Um, he fought in Bellator, a couple Combate cards. He's from Texas, southpaw, lots of kicks from the body. Likes to clinch. He'll take it to the ground. The last guy he fought in Combate though was this guy Clarence Brown, and Clarence Brown is 1-7.
Yeah,
So
I saw that.
so again, the issue that I see here, Drew, on the telecast that I watched, they basically said nobody wants to fight this guy, which may be true, but it's tough to gauge his talent level when you're fighting nobodies, right? And that's the whole thing about Contender Series. We're seeing these guys, and you don't know if their career up to this point is kind of manufactured by their management team, their managers, their coaches.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm painting that picture because I'm just going by what I see and what I hear. I don't know exactly what's going to happen because, again, the level of talent is questionable for a lot of these guys, actually. Jordan Levitt is 6-0. Flores is going to have 2 inches height. And Jordan Levitt just fought a few weeks ago. He's coming in on just a few weeks' notice. He fought in front of no crowd at LFA 85. Got a second-round anaconda. So, again, you talked about his BJJ. Levitt wants to get it to the ground. He wants to work his BJJ. He hasn't had to strike much. In the interview that I saw with Jordan Ellis, he's basically acknowledged that. He's been able to work his ground game. He hasn't had to strike much. Now, again, he claims he doesn't have to strike much. He's gotten away with not striking, but he can strike. Personally, I'm kind of claiming BS right now. I'm thinking his striking did not look very good. I think Jose Flores, here's the problem with this fight. I think Jose Flores is going to be able to use his striking. I think he's going to be able to keep distance. Very good kicks. Okay. The issue is if it gets to the ground, they're both good. Levitt may be better. He may be right there. But I think that Flores is going to be able to keep him at range, point fight him, and that's a good path to victory. But again, that's not a good path to get a contract.
Who's the taller fighter?
Flores has 2 inches on him, based on disclosed heights. That
and you think he okay. So you're saying Flores is the better striker in this case? All right,
correct.
Cool.
Correct. I don't think that's even in doubt, to be honest with you.
Okay, all right. I'll give you that. But in his last fight, I guess if you want to say, or even against Clarence Brown, I guess Clarence Brown had the same idea where he thought, he was the better striker and the more powerful striker, and came out, actually the first punch of the fight, I thought he got blasted and he ended up like pulling guard, it looked like.
Yeah.
Jordan Levitt. So it was kind of crazy. But literally looking at this record of Jose Flores, like, dude, there's a reason why Jose Flores is a plus 180 and Jordan Levitt is the favorite. And it's because
my bad. Let me put the odds up for you.
And it's because
not the odds. Go ahead. I'm sorry, cutting you off.
It's good. And it's literally because of that. It's because where Jose does maybe have a better stand up and can maybe handle himself better with his hands and feet. When it comes to the finish and when it comes to the fight, Jordan Levitt, the reason why he feels that comfortable with saying, hey, I don't really have to throw hands, it's because the second it gets to the ground, my man, it's over. Like, if you saw that fight, and this is me thinking, for Jordan, when you saw that fight at LFA 85, he was on his back a lot of the time, which in MMA is a very dangerous place to be, but he seemed to be at home. Granted, he was up against a guy who I don't think was even very savvy in jiu-jitsu, but nonetheless, he still came out and he threw everything but the kitchen sink when it comes in terms of submissions, and he came out with the win, like you said, with the anaconda choke, which in this case, from the fights that I saw Jose Flores, he did have some stand-up, but he did try to grind up against the fence and try to take the fight to the ground. So that's why I feel like in that department, if Jose Flores can't keep the distance, which I don't think he will, because the way that the Monkey King was the way shooting in on his opponent 2 weeks ago at LFA 85, didn't matter if he had distance or not. I think he was a shorter fighter in that fight too, and he still came out getting all the shots that he wanted and was still able to take him down. So for me, I'm gonna go with Levitt, probably by sub. I mean, these fights are hard to call. I mean, they're up in the air. A lot of these guys, like you said, that's a really great point, which you'll notice is a theme in all these fights. A lot of these guys fight tomato cans. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these these records to me are like puffed up. So we'll just see what happens on Tuesday. But I'm going the other way.
All right, I'm gonna tweet this out right now. We got a couple people watching, a couple people that have tweeted and retweeted. This is live. If you go to Twitter,
Cosma.
You can see this live, or if you go to YouTube, you can see this live. And if there's any questions, by all means, hit us up with some questions. We'd love to answer some questions.
Please.
But Drew, we just spent 9 minutes on the first fight. We got to get through these, so let's try to get like 4 or 5 minutes each fight. So we're head to head right here. Drew, I think I'm putting a bet on Jose Flores. That's my pick. So I'm Jose Flores plus 180. Yeah, I mean, I'm listen. I don't BS, right? I tell you exactly how I feel. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. My read on this fight is Jose Flores keeping the distance. I don't think he's going to get a finish, but I think he's going to be able to keep the distance, outstrike him, and he's not getting a contract based on that. So that's what I'm calling. Let's get into this next fight. You got this one, right? You want to introduce this? Jerome Rivera and Luis Rodriguez?
So here we have Jerome Rivera and Luis Rodriguez. On this card, I feel like this fight has potential to be probably one of the fights of the night.
Oh, there's a banger, bro. This is going to be a banger.
Yeah. And that's because of, if you watch these guys' tapes and their fights, they're always exciting. Jerome Rivera in this fight is the bigger fighter, the longer fighter. I mean, he has 4 inches on the guy.
Yeah.
Dude, Luis Rodriguez is my height, and I'm no giant.
But he's stocky.
No. Trust me, he's a tank. Believe me, he's a tank, and he's an animal. And I have good things to say about Luis Rodriguez. But in this case, just the same way that you feel about Jose Flores in the last match is how I'm gonna have to feel about Jerome in this match. Where if he does his job and he keeps him away and he keeps Luis away with that reach and that length, and he brings those elbows and those knees and that clinch the way that he does very well, I don't see this being, it's going to be a crazy fight. Like I said, fight of the night, definitely on this card out of these 5 fights. But man, I mean, just look at his look. He's number 1 in New Mexico, number 26 in the U.S., 4 in the Southwest, number 1 in Colorado, and number 7 in the West. He's on a 2-fight win streak. His last loss was to Royval, but that was like a freak accident where he like broke his arm. During the fight. And before that, it was Roberto Sanchez to an armbar. Before that, it's all wins. So, I mean, the guy's proven. The guy always brings it. And, I mean, he's going up against another grenade in Luis Rodriguez that's, to me, out of everyone else on the card, he's the only other guy who's had 1 fight less than the no, actually, he has the most fights on the card. You know what I'm saying? Like, besides Jerome, who's only 1 fight less than what Luis has, this guy's like pretty much top of the crop right here when it comes to fight experience, in my opinion. What do you think about this fight? And he's Mexican. Mexican fighters always bring it, dude.
He brings it to a point where he's gonna set the tone in the fight.
Dude, those leg kicks? Oh my god.
Yeah. Luis Rodriguez is the kind of fighter that he may never win a title in the UFC, but he will get to the UFC at some point, and he will fight plenty of fights in the UFC because people are going to love to watch him fight.
I agree.
Okay, that's what I see with Luis Rodriguez. Jerome Rivera, though, you're going to talk about a guy here who has 4 inches in height. I don't know Rodriguez's reach advantage, but Jerome is 72.5 reach advantage at 125 pounds. He's got to have 5 or 6 inches of a reach advantage. You know what I mean?
I'm looking at the reach here, and it's like not even disclosed for Luis Rodriguez. But I mean, if he's 5'6", dude, he's got to have some type of reach like mine, and I have no reach at all. So let's just leave it there.
He gets his weight at 5'6" because he's short and he's stocky. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make weight. If you want me to pick anybody here that doesn't make weight, Luis Rodriguez, I would not be surprised does not make 125 pounds.
I mean, his nickname is Lazy Boy.
Yeah. Jerome Rivera, though, just to give you a little bit on him, very good experience. Very, very good experience. He also fought Royal, and when he fought Royal, he actually was the betting favorite. He was a minus 260 betting favorite against Brandon Royal. And Brandon Royal just beat Tim Elliott, what was that, 2 months ago? I believe that was 2 months ago. Second round. I think he submitted Tim Elliott in the second round or something like that. So Royal is legit. But in that fight, that's the fight you're referring to, he dislocated his elbow. Royal went in for, I don't know if it was a takedown or kind of just pushed him up against the cage. Rivera put out his arm, and he dislocated. Like, you could literally see his arm.
His elbow was
that was nasty. So take that for what it's worth. Rivera, I agree 100%. I'm not going to take it any further than that. Rivera keeps distance, he wins this fight. If Luis Rodriguez is able to get inside at his range, then he's game here. He could finish his fight. But I really like.
Real quick, sorry to cut you right there because I'm happy. I wanted to cut you right there when you said that because I knew you were going to say that at one point that he had to get inside. Here's what's dangerous about Jerome Rivera when you get inside on him. He likes to clinch. And when he likes to clinch, he likes to throw those elbows and those knees. And that's dangerous to a shorter fighter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a knee to a shorter fighter like Luis Rodriguez is going to end up at his face and not his chest or his stomach like he would with taller fighters. So I feel like this is going to be something that, in my opinion, yeah, he'll try to keep him away. But in the same respect, I mean, that almost plays into his game. If Luis wants to come inside, he'll keep him away, chip him up, let him in, and then beat him up with some elbows and knees in the clinch. He's really good at that. So that's where I'll leave it with that.
Yo, Drew, I'm going to introduce this next fight. Just update your name on there so that everybody can see your Twitter name, just in case anybody wants to reach out to you about any of your breakdowns. You know how to do that on this?
Trying to find it now.
Go to the three dots. Go to the three dots, and you could edit name. Yeah, just so that they know your Twitter name. So the one thing that I will say about Luis Rodriguez, and we'll get into this next fight, is a lot of his fights are at 135 pounds. So he's trying to get down to 125 for this. I believe his last fight was 130 also. So I would not be surprised if he doesn't make weight. I think that fight finishes. I think that Jerome, the only way Rodriguez wins is if he finishes him. I don't think he wins on the scorecards. And then Jerome Rivera, I think that Rodriguez, because of the way he fights, is going to gas out. I think Jerome Rivera can finish him. Maybe a late finish for Rivera. I mean, Rodriguez can finish first round, second round, but Rivera could win on the scorecards, or he can get a late finish. In my opinion, again, southpaw, heavy kicking game, and I think if you're struggling with that weight, he kicks him to the midsection a few times. I think it's going to be a long night for Luis Rivera. So I'm on Jerome Rivera. I have the odds up here, and I have no problem at minus 235. You want to play that straight, or if you want to parlay that, that's fine too, because there's somebody else in this card that I like as a parlay pick. So my first pick is Jose Flores plus 180. My second pick is Jerome Rivera minus 235. Drew, I'll introduce this one and then I'll throw it to you. Mm-hmm. This is Unos Medic. Euros, right? Euros Medic. And Mikey Gonzalez.
Bro, Mikey rolls.
Drew, if you want to see a list of characters, look at Mikey Gonzalez and look at the guys that he's fought.
Bro, Mikey rolls. Mikey rolls.
Listen, Mikey rolls. He's a brown belt BJJ. But the reality is, he took this fight on 10-day notice. All right, 10-day notice. 34 years old, 5'11". The records of some of these guys is ridiculous. Specifically, Justin Baseman, he fought twice.
My God.
And Justin Baseman, if you look at his record, Baseman has what's his record? Are you looking at this now? He's not like
20, bro.
Bro, he actually fought Mikey Gonzalez twice, lost both times, once by finish, I think once by decision. And then his next fight was against Chris Lieben in bare knuckle. I was about to say brass knuckle. That's what my head's at right now. In bare knuckle. This guy is all over the place. But
and a bunch of grappling matches.
Yeah, a bunch. I don't love either fighter here. I think this could be a decent striking fight. I know Mikey Rolls is a brown belt BJJ, but he likes to strike. He wants to strike. I don't think this is going to the ground. I think him and Medic are gonna be striking. Medic has a bunch of kickboxing and boxing fights also. The first fight I found was 2014, a boxing match. He has a little bit of a ground game. He has good kicks. He good striking. He likes to clinch. Anytime he gets up close, Medic he just automatically clinches. The one thing he doesn't do in the clinch that I haven't seen, again, he may do it now. He was raw when I saw a lot of this film. Is he doesn't get the strikes in the clinch that can really do damage. So he clinches so much. Use your knees. Use your elbows. Get some strikes off in the clinch. It's just clinching to kind of slow down the fight, if that makes sense.
No, yeah. And honestly, I feel like that's because of his boxing background.
Yeah.
Because when I was watching some of his fights, that's what I noticed a lot too. Like his base is boxing, right?
Right.
So his clinch work at first, like you said, because a lot of his clips are raw. You don't really have a lot of recent clips, at least from what I can find. Um, he's not very, you know, it's more boxing. And then now, from what I saw recently, like there was like a workout tape that he did in his jujitsu school. So that leads me to believe that where he's also a coach in Anchorage. So that leads me to believe that he actually has some game in the jujitsu department. He was wearing some gi pants, and I don't know how good his jujitsu is. That's always up to judge. But I kind of want to lean. If I have to lean anywhere here, I know these guys aren't the greatest here. And they both, because the same way you feel about Mikey is the same way I feel about Euros' record. Like if you look at the guy's baseball, it's like he went straight pro, so he doesn't have any amateur fights or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
Well, his
still,
amateur was basically his boxing fights.
yeah,
That
no,
was
of
basically his
course,
amateur.
of course,
Yeah.
of course. But here's the thing: where you think that Mikey hasn't really had any real experience. I mean, Mikey has done combat jiu-jitsu 3 times. Now, if you want to simulate combat jiu-jitsu to MMA, the only thing that's similar is that you're simulating ground and pound, right? So if anybody has more of a control factor in this fight or whatever, I'm gonna go with Mikey Rose here on the ground. Um, just in that department where I feel like, yeah, they might want to stand with each other, but Dana wants to finish, man. And that might be the only reason why they try to stand with each other. But if it all goes down to the game plan, then I feel like Mikey's just going to get the sub in this fight or get the finish in that manner when it comes to Euros. Because Euros, I mean, it's up in the air with both of these guys specifically. And his affiliation I'm looking at here now is Anchorage Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Um, I don't know, man. I don't really feel confident with Euros here. So, and
I
Mikey, honestly, I've been following for quite some time, even before I knew that he was getting this fight.
right.
So, I've been a fan of him on the jiu-jitsu side. So I know what he can do there. So that's where I'm
Well,
confident.
this is what I'm going to leave this fight. So you're kind of in Mikey Gonzalez's corner. I'll be
Yeah,
honest with you. This is a toss-up fight to me. So
I'm not betting it.
no. I'm not. I don't think I'm going to bet that. You know what? I'm lying. I bet like every fight that I watch. So I'm probably going to wind up throwing something on it, right? Um, I left again when I did my tape study. I didn't have odds, right? We got the odds basically right before we got on here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the reality is, I thought that this was a toss-up fight. So the fact that Medic is favored a little bit, I kind of like. If I was going to pick something, I kind of like the dog odds on Gonzalez. So maybe it's a little dog or pass for me. But if it were, I thought the odds would be a toss-up, and I thought that I would probably bet Medic if it was toss-up. So the odds are basically saying I think there's more value on Gonzalez. But the reality is Medic is 27. Um, I don't know. I think we're going to see improvements in him. But by the same token, I don't know what those improvements are. So I want to see it before I actually bet these guys. I may throw something on it. You know what I mean? But Mikey Gonzalez, the one thing I'll leave you, if you're a fan of the hook kick, you will see more hook kicks from Mikey Gonzalez than I think you will see in the history in the old year in 2020. I've seen more hook kicks in his fights, taping his fights, than I saw in 2020.
Yeah.
So let's
I
get to his
mean,
next fight. Drew, I think I'm going to take this because I know Damonte Robinson. You didn't get to see much tape on him, right?
who the hell is that guy, man? I honestly, I saw like a 30-second clip where it was like Ohio's finest, and he fought some dude, bro. Honestly, let me look at my notes that I even wrote on him if I even have
But
much.
listen, you look at the notes.
Go
I
ahead.
thought that this would be again another fight that was kind of a toss-up. I thought this would be a
Oh, I
50-50
remember
fight.
this, bro. I
So
sent you the text.
yes, I love Damonte Robinson at plus 180, and I'm going to tell you why.
What?
Kenny Cross, he looks is to Kenny the Boss Cross. All right, he's the one. If anybody wants to see an interview, James Lynch interviewed him back in like 2017. The kid is only 25 years old. Both of these guys are 25 years old. Okay,
Yeah.
Damonte Robinson, he looks every bit of 6 foot. I don't know if Kenny Cross is actually 6 foot. Okay, he's listed at 6 foot, but I don't think he's actually 6 foot.
He's
Um,
long, man.
he's long. He's the lights out lightweight champ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is going to be a striking fight, but they both have wrestling backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw in Robinson is that they both wrestled in high school. I don't think either one of them wrestled in college. But what I saw in Robinson, his fight against Damonte Smith in 2017. Damonte Smith, who we all know has been in the UFC, had a couple knockouts, actually wound up losing to Cam Worthy, right? Cam Worthy upset him as like I think Damonte Smith was like a minus 1,000 favorite and wound up getting knocked out.
Wow.
Robinson was able to grapple Damonte Smith, get him down, put him on his back, and was winning the round. Like, he looked good. His wrestling, he was able to get him down. He was able to kind of use a little bit of ground and pound. Damonte Smith was able to get him in a triangle choke and choked him out. Robinson won that first round against Damonte Smith. This was in 2017. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what I don't know what Robinson's striking looks like at this point. Kenny Cross is a striker. He likes to strike, but he's lost 3 times by submission. So again, if Robinson is able to get that takedown and get some top control, I think that he can put Kenny Cross in a bad position and submit him. I don't know if Robinson is going to go with that path. I haven't seen that path, but that's a path that I've seen. If it's in his wheelhouse, he can pull that off. So I like the winning the rounds, but this is also a fight where I don't see a finish unless it's Robinson getting up to the ground and striking. I think Robinson's going to be a little bit longer so he can keep Kenny Cross, the boss, at range. Kenny Cross is southpaw, good kicks, good knees. He's very eager to wrestle and grapple. I just think Robinson's going to be better in that department. So I think Kenny's going to put himself in a bad spot if he does that. And then the other thing that you're going to realize right away with Kenny Cross is he is one of those guys that's been inspired by – he says that he loves who did he say in the interview? I forget who he said that he loves. But he reminds me of Conor McGregor. You just look at his mannerisms. Yeah, his mannerisms are Conor McGregor. But yeah. I think he said George St. Pierre. I think he said that his favorite fighter is George St. Pierre, but his mannerisms are Conor McGregor. So take it for what it's worth. That's what I see. So Drew, now that you got your notes, go ahead. What do you think here?
All right. So for me, it wasn't even like when I saw Damonte Robinson, the fight that I saw, right? The dude, the way he tapped in this fight, and considering the way that Damonte had this locked in, he had his hand locked in from here, like at his wrist. And not only was it bad, it was very bad. And the guy tapped basically because he just wanted out. You know, he didn't want to be there that night.
Now, Drew, just explain to everybody. You know your BJJ.
Yeah. I mean, so listen, I've been doing jiu-jitsu since 2009. I'm a 3-stripe purple belt. And, I'm no, by all means, world champion, but I've competed at the top. I've competed on Fight to Win. I've competed at, a couple levels, and I'm still training every single day. So I might not be a world champion, but I know how to finish a rear naked choke. And the way that guy finished the rear naked choke is not even white belt level. But let's be honest. Robinson, he might be the bigger man because I feel like he is the bigger individual between the two. But in this fight, I feel like just Kenny the Boss, man. Kenny the Boss is the sharper image, sharper striker here. And considering the way that, from the one tape that I saw on Robinson, the way that he strikes or throws anything, I'm not really confident there. But hey, we've been head-to-head all night. And in my opinion, Robinson might be the better wrestler. Yes. But on the ground, better technician. Although you say that he's been subbed before, he also has a lot of wins by sub by rear naked choke, which he has been taken down, and every time he gets taken down, he reverses the position quite well. So he knows how to handle himself on the ground. Is Robinson going to be able to keep him down? Maybe. But I feel like Kenny the Boss, if you're going to ask me contract or finish, he might get the finish, and he definitely has the look, and he's definitely walking around with that left hand that he likes to throw a lot. Trying to act like Conor with the lead left leg, following up with the straight left, and he's definitely no Conor. But this fight, like the Luis Rodriguez fight and Jerome, has potential to be a really nice fight and an exciting fight for sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, 5 fights on a Tuesday. I like these fights. And this last fight, Drew, I'm throwing it to you. So again, just so you get my pick, I'm putting money down on Damonte Robinson.
I'm putting money down on the boss, baby.
On the boss, technically. So we're head to head on like 3 of these 4, and we're about to be head to head on 4 of these 5. So tell us why Ty Flores is going to win this fight. Again, he's plus 205. If I had to tell you the odds coming into this, right? I'm just going to go right down the list here. I would have said Jacoby. I would have said that price is probably where it's going to be at.
Yeah.
Mikey Gonzalez, I thought that was going to be a toss-up. I actually
Mikey's the best value.
No, Mikey's value, but I'm just telling you, I thought that was going to be a toss-up. Levitt Flores, I actually thought that Flores would be favored, so I'm going to bet Flores. I thought that Robinson Cross would be somewhat of a toss-up, so I like Robinson. And then Jerome Rivera and Luis Rodriguez is kind of where I thought it would be. So these 2 fights up top are my parlay pieces. I have no problem Jacoby parlaying, Rivera parlay. I may parlay those 2 together. But you tell me why Tyler Flores is going to beat Dustin Jacoby.
Because he's a punching bag, man. And not only is he a punching bag, Jacoby does have the experience here. And don't get me wrong, I can clearly see I understand why he's that big of a favorite. And it's right. Because if you have to look at the fights and who he's fought and in his past, the dude's got the resume. But in this fight, he's going he's going up against a guy in Tyler Flores who's every bit of a giant. And in my opinion, is going to take this down to the ground. He's not going to let Jacoby up unless Jacoby's been working on his MMA. And this is like a fight that I didn't really do a lot of studying on. So to me, it's a toss up. I just watching Ty Flores, his first video, bro. I think I texted you about it.
You did.
My man was getting beat up the entire fight. And his opponent just got tired of beating him up and landed in a rear naked choke, and Ty just finished it. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Drew, he got mounted, I believe, 3 times before he eventually got top control by mistake and finished with a rear naked choke. He got mounted twice in the first round. I'm right too.
I know, bro. It's crazy, man. But I just feel like for some reason my gut's just telling me that Flo's gonna pull it out, man. My boy Flo's gonna get him to the ground, hold him down, just beat him up, man. Because although he has a hard time doing it the right way, hopefully with all the help that he's had, because I did see in an interview he said that he's been being he has a lot of guidance and a lot of good people in his camp, like Alistair Overeem and Curtis Blades and a couple other people that he's been training in Colorado with. And so hopefully he's in good shape. Hopefully he's in better shape. He said he's able to go 5 rounds, not just the 3. And hopefully he has a good game plan put together, because Jacoby's a good striker. He has good hands. What was the fight I was telling you about before? He's fought before. Wasn't it? Yeah, he's fought Carl Roberson, who's in the UFC now currently. So he has experience with some UFC guys. But keep in mind, these are all kickboxing bouts. So, this fight is going to hit the ground at some point. Is Dustin going to be able to get up?
It's going to hit the ground when Jacoby knocks Flores out. His head's going to hit the ground. Listen, man, I could hear you say this all day, and I 100% agree with you. It's just a matter of, is he going to be able to get him to the ground? Flores, his strikes are long. They're slow. Everything is just telegraphed. And if you're telling me that Jacoby, first of all, Carl Roberson, I know you brought up Carl Roberson because Carl, he's a Jersey guy. You've trained at the same gym as Carl in Jersey back in the day, right? So I know you know Carl and his people. You and I both know that Carl Roberson is a legit kickboxer.
Animal.
Okay, he can kickbox with anybody. We also know that if Carl goes to the ground, he can get submitted by, mediocre ground guys, right? Like that's happened.
But he's getting better. He's getting better. Shout out.
He is getting better, but that's his deficiency, so he needs to work on it. But you're telling me that Jacoby, who beat Carl Roberson in a kickboxing fight, okay, 2 knockdowns, is going to lose to Ty Flores with his striking? Now, if Ty Flores is that good of a wrestler to get him down, whether it's pushing him up against the cage or whatever, then you know what? I'm going to eat crow here, and Flores wins this fight. I think this fight finishes. That's all I'm going to tell you. If you can take under, if the over under is 1.5, I'm taking under 1.5. Okay, because Jacoby is going to knock out Flores, or Flores is going to submit Jacoby if he gets him to the ground. That's what I see. I do not see this going to the scorecards. If it's the over under is 2.5, definitely take the under. And depending on inside the distance, what that prop is, I definitely see this fight finishing. The thing is, Jacoby's already been in the UFC. You know what I mean? I believe he has 2 fights in the UFC. He trains at Factory X with Mark Montoya. He was his trainer. But by the same token, Jacoby lost to Chris Camozzi. Now, again, UFC fans, you look at Chris Camozzi and it's like, how do you lose to him? Well, Chris Camozzi is a decent striker. He can strike. The thing with Chris Camozzi is he doesn't have the ground game, which is Jacoby's issue also. So if this gets to the ground, Drew, I 100% agree with you. Flores is going to win this. So if you want to hedge your bet, inside the distance, we'll see what the odds are there. I mean, I'll show you. You see the odds here. I don't have props. So when I say odds, I mean props. But if you can get a Flores sub prop, by all means, if you're taking Flores, you might as well take him by sub, because there's no way this, he's going to wind up knocking out Jacoby. Jacoby will kill him on the feet. That's just my word for this fight. So, Drew, I'll throw it back to you. You can tell me whatever you want, but this is striker versus grappler.
Hey, I agree. I just feel like my final word on that, I just feel like Flores, like I said, literally at the beginning, he's a big punching bag. So he's going to be able to take it. He's going to get all the damage. And like he's done in all these other fights, he somehow finds a way and ends up on top and just ends up mauling the guy or subbing the guy. Either or, whichever comes first. And I'm hoping that all the work that he's been doing in this quarantine or pandemic with his camp now over in Colorado is going to pay off. Because at the end of the day, I mean, these fights are going to be ugly. These fights are going to be grinding. Minus the Rivera fight, because I feel like that's just going to be a masterpiece. It's going to be beautiful. Yeah, man, I just can't wait. It's going to be exciting. I mean, we all know Uncle Dana. He's like that guy in the GIF or in the meme that he wants blood, just bleed. That's Uncle Dana on Tuesday night. So.
Yo, and if you see Uncle Dana, he loves Tuesday nights, bro. He loves this. He loves it. He's smiling the entire time. These guys are engaged. He loves this stuff. So, again, we got 10 weeks of this, Drew. I'm going to try my best for me and you to do all 10 weeks of Contender Series. So anybody who watched this video, we're going to try our best to get a video out Sunday evening. All right. I know Drew worked all day today. He's with the family now. He's got a baby on the way. I had my in-laws over before we ate dinner. So again, life sometimes gets in the way of this, but we're going to try to get a Contender Series show out every Sunday night. And after the shit show that was yesterday, by all means, that was the worst card. That card was just damaged goods, man. I don't know what else to tell you. Damaged goods from beginning to end.
Oh God.
Whatever that card was, hopefully